Yo, what is good? It's Jeff Abel. Always able. You know what it is. It is Thursday night. I'm back on here for another quick video, and I want to talk about prioritizing protein in your diet for fat loss and prioritizing protein for muscle building as well, obviously. But in terms of fat loss and getting lean and dropping some body fat, you want to prioritize your protein. What made me think about this was I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, I think I'm eating enough protein," or she felt like she was at like this plateau and she was kind of stuck, and she's like, "I think I'm eating enough protein," and I'm like, "Well, are you sure?" And she's like, "Well, I think I'm." And I'm like, "All right, well, it doesn't sound like you're sure." So we kind of added everything up that she was eating, and as far as protein, and it ended up we realized that she needed to literally double, almost more than double her protein intake. And I'm like, well, there you go. So I definitely experienced this when I was younger, and I just didn't really have any idea. But once I started to learn more and kind of just go through the trials and tribulations of like getting lean and changing my body, I was able to figure it out. And I had some mentors in the space too, and still do. But what you want to do, like in terms of like proteins, fats, and carbs, like in my opinion, what worked for me was I prioritized the protein that I was eating every day first. That was the first thing. And what I would say if you're starting off bare bones, guy or girl, I would say that like you should. What worked for me was that I started eating minimum a gram per every pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you want 150 grams of protein for the day. If you weigh 120 pounds, you want 120 grams of protein for the day. So I would prioritize that first. So you can worry about like the carbs and the fats and everything else afterwards. And I'm not saying that's not important. It definitely is. But I would say the main thing that you need to do to prioritize fat loss and changing your body is make sure you get that protein first. So what worked for me was the protein sources that I started out with basically are the same things that I eat today. I eat eggs, I eat chicken, I eat beef, I eat protein powder, Greek yogurt. If you don't like any of those things, there's a couple more options that are out there. But like I made sure that like I prioritize those things first. So you really want to make sure you track this stuff because you may think that like you're eating enough food or you're eating enough protein for that matter, and you're most likely just not. So again, I would, if I was starting out, I would literally weigh myself in the morning naked with no clothes, empty stomach, and whatever that weight was, let's just say it was 150 pounds. I would say, okay, well that means I need to hit 150 grams of protein for the day. How am I going to do that? So then I would basically say, all right, well, I need to eat, let's say I'm eating 5 meals a day. Or let's say you're eating 4 meals a day. I would probably recommend 5. That's what I currently do 5 times. I would say, okay, so I'm eating 5 times a day. So how many grams of protein do I need each meal? So I would do 150 divided by 5. So that means, okay, that means that I need 30 grams of protein every time I eat. So that would just be where I started. And that's the thing, man. A lot of times I feel like people, and I did this too, like they just try to like troubleshoot and they try to just guess and try to just like, they don't track their stuff. And I can tell you from experience that like you got to at least track some things. I mean, maybe you don't need to track every little thing, but like you should definitely be tracking to make sure that you're at least eating enough protein. So I would say what worked for me and what I did and still do, get that number in the morning, and then divide it up into however many meals you're going to have that day and start there. All right. So let's just say you know you're hitting 30 grams of protein every meal if your goal is 150 grams for the day. Then you could start to worry about like your carbs and your fats and kind of just like play around with those and see what works. Maybe some people are higher carb, lower fat. Some people are higher fat, low carb. Some people do moderate carb, moderate fat. Some people carb cycle, and all those things work. But for the most optimal results, you gotta hit the protein. and make sure you're tracking it. So if you're curious about where to start, prioritize the protein first, and then that's the step one. So like I said, get that number in the morning. That's what I would do. That's what I did. Anytime I want to shift my diet around, I always go based off what I weigh in the morning on an empty stomach. And that way I know, boom, whatever that number is, the minimum baseline, I need to hit that same number in grams of protein. So start there, prioritize your protein, and you should definitely have some success. So that's it. Quick one tonight. Hope that helps. I'll be back on here Monday. Always able. I'm out.